So I've been skating 17 years at this point. I mean, technically, probably about 19 years, but I didn't learn how to all. I was like butt boarding and knee boarding for the first 2 years.
What year did you start, you think?
2000. Currently have 8.5 play skateboards deck with 149 indie standards with a blue base plate because Bill from Hammered Skateboards gave them to me, hooked them up. And I got Oscar Rosenberg 54 Formula 4 Spitfires, and I think I got Bronson G3 bearings. My first purchase at Union was Steve Durante Politic board. If you look at their first photo of the walls, they have like 5 to maybe 10 boards on the walls, and it's one of them. It was like blue on top, and then had like a little badge and said Durante, and then it had like almost looked like hemp on the tail.
That's dope.
I will skate after age 30. I'm 29 right now, and I had knee surgery 2 years ago, so I had to take 8 months off for like rehabbing that, and that was the longest I ever went without skating since I was like 12 years old when I actually started skateboarding. So that was like, it really hurt my soul to take that long off, and I realized how much I needed it. So now, to skate, I'm 29 right now, so to skate past 30, I just imagine I'm going to have to keep up the yoga and keep in the gym to keep the leg muscles strong so I don't mess up any more joints. That's my strategy for skating past 30. But honestly, I've learned more tricks post-knee surgery than I had in a long time because I had to change my skating. I pretty much just skate flat and skate like mini ramps now, and like some ledges, but I got like 4 ledge tricks. But it's adding a little 180 or adding a shove it into things now rather than how many more stairs can I do.
That literally answers like the next 2 questions.
I went over that a little bit before knee surgery. So I tore my ACL and my medial and lateral meniscus, I believe is what I tore. But my ACL, I had to get a cadaver piece put in, and I was going on vacation to California to see my brother. So I did that on June 10th, 2017, and I was going on vacation in the last week of August. So I waited until after vacation to get surgery. So that I could have got surgery and then started the rehab way sooner, but I waited like 2 months to get surgery. And then after that, it was rehab until probably January or February, and then I got cleared from my what's the term for the orthopedic surgeon. So I went to go see my orthopedic surgeon, and he was like, all right, this is in like January, and mind you, I tore my ACL back in like June. So he was like, you're cleared, you look good, you don't got to go to physical therapy anymore. So then I was washing the shop the weekend after that, and instead of Friday going to my usual physical therapy appointment, I was down here washing the shop, and I did a kickflip in the parking lot, and I was pretty hyped. It was my first time riding a board in like 8 months, so...
The handwriting.
It was all caps were impacted. It has impacted my skating. Before I was doing yoga before I tore my ACL, but I decided like now it's actually like an important part of my life. Before I just did it to like, okay, so I didn't do it to like loosen up before skating. I just did it like every other day because I knew that it helped like my mobility. But now I think yoga is like a crucial part to my skating because I actually like warm up and stretch, and I do like dynamic stretching before I skate. It's like, you guys can look it up, but it's like not necessarily just standing still stretching, it's like swinging motions pretty much. And I do dynamic stretching before I skate, and then on top of that I do yoga like a couple times a week, and then I try and go to the gym like probably 3 days a week because I'm a big believer in like, all right, so I'm getting older. I can tell things aren't starting to work as well, but if I keep the muscles around those joints strong, then it makes like it puts way less pressure on the joints. So it affected my skating in the way that I have like a routine that I do to keep my body strong and healthy. But like my actual skating, I said before, I guess, I mostly skate flat ground now, and I grew up skating in my driveway by myself, and there was I was skating a lot of flat ground then, but now it's like my favorite thing to skate. Where before it was like, oh, I'm learning this trick so that I can go do it on the weekend down some steps or down a gap, and now it's just so I can do it on flat, just so I can skate pretty much. But and a lot of mini ramps, because the mini ramp is just the most fun thing to skate still. Yeah. I do yoga. Okay, so right now I was in school for 2 years. I just graduated in August, so that was like hindering how much I could have. Well, basically it was limiting my free time, so I didn't have time to do physical activity as much. But now that I'm out of school, I either skate or do yoga every day. It's one or the other. If I skate, then I don't do yoga because it's too much to do both those in the same day. But I have looked up like stuff that you can do post skating to like make you not get as sore the next day. So I might start doing that kind of stuff. But right now it's every single day, either skating or yoga. And when wintertime comes around, it's just going to be yoga all the time pretty much. But
dude, you're my hero. I need to get there.
He did the 999, so I was 9 years old. I was born in 1990, so it's pretty easy to figure out my age. Just do whatever 2000 plus 10. But he was 9, so like that was, I don't know if that was a big thing for like people watching this, but when Tony Hawk did the 900, right after that the video game came out, and my whole generation started skating because of the video game. That's
exactly.
I had never heard of a skate video or Eric Costin or anything like that. All I knew was that like I played this video game, and I didn't even realize that the people in the game were real pro skaters. I just thought they were made up characters for the game. But I remember I got that for N64, and we were playing the hell out of that. And then my cousin Wes showed up. He's 4 years older than me, so my cousin Wes showed up to come over to my house one day, and he had a Dragon Ball Z board from Walmart. Because it was starting to explode, man. Everybody was getting bored. Yeah. And that was the first skateboard I ever rode. And it was like me and his two brothers and my brother. So like 5 of us. And we all shared the same Dragon Ball Z board for like a while until we actually started getting boards. Because at first it was just, it's a skateboard, it's a toy. If we didn't all have to have our own, we just take turns with the toy, you know?
That's sick.
Yeah.
The whole crew, one board.
Yeah, one board. But when he showed up, like, I don't know if he was just good or what, but when he showed up, he already had, like, he could ollie and he could do, like, pop shove-its and, like, 180s and stuff. The first time I ever saw somebody skateboard in person.
That's great.
So I was like, I don't know why it took me so long to figure any of that stuff out, but they were already on it for sure. My favorite Tony, this is like such a good one. Because I think it depends on how old you are.
Yeah.
Because people have different favorites, and I've argued this with so many people.
Yeah.
But Tony Hawk's Underground is the best Tony Hawk. It has the story mode. That was the only game that had story. Well, the Tony Hawk's Underground 2 had a thing called story mode, but it wasn't the same thing. In Tony Hawk's Underground 1, you could you skate from your hometown in New Jersey, and then you go to Tampa Am, and at Tampa Am you get sponsored. And this is how cool the game was. There was 4 different companies to pick from, and like I picked Flip all the time, and if you picked Flip, then your title screen and like your selection screens all turned blue, and they had like Flip logos in the corner. That's how cool this game was. And there was Element, and there was Zero, and I forget who I think Shorty's might have been the other one, I don't remember, but I picked Flip every time. But that was the coolest game.
Girl and Zero.
Oh, Girl, that was what it was.
I always picked Girl.
You always pick Girl every time?
Mostly, yeah.
That's awesome. I wasn't that hip yet, dude. I was like Jeff Raleigh all day.
Yeah. Oh, he's the man.
Yeah, him and Mark Appleyard were the why I was picking Flip every time.
That story mode is like the time of life.
Yeah, it was so fun. I watch pretty much every 9 Club. There's very few that I haven't seen. I just like podcasts in general. My radio doesn't work in my car, So I download podcasts and I play them at full volume while I drive. That's how I get through the drives. So my favorite non-club episode, though. Going on, bud. My favorite non-club episodes it's an early one, but it's Frank Gerwer. It's by far the best one. It's only 36 minutes long.
I've never seen that.
Dude, it's before like now. You know how like they're like 5 hours now.
Yeah.
It's 36 minutes. It's the best one.
Yeah, it's an old.
He says,
I gotta watch that.
Yeah, he's like, I want to think of something to do an impression of real quick. They ask him what's your favorite word, Frank, and he's like, it's not a word so much. I just like do stuff like this. I just like. He says like all this funny stuff. Oh, the best part. So I was like this when I was a kid too, and this is I think why I like the Frank Gerwer episode so much, because I relate to it. Whenever he's talking about when you're a kid and you mess with your board all the time, and he was like, yeah, I would like change stuff out and stuff, and then the hosts like Chris Roberts like, I don't really know what you're talking about, man. He's like, you were never like. You tried to ollie down when you were a kid. You tried to ollie down a curb and you couldn't do it. And you had to be like, oh fuck, I gotta take the truck off now. Like when you're a kid, and you just mess with your setup because like I remember being a kid and like taking my kingpin nut off and taking the hanger and the bushings off and the washers and just like looking at it and then putting it back together. I just thought that shit was so cool.
Wow. It's like the whole young crew that comes in here.
Yeah. Dickies 874s. You gotta buy them a size bigger in the waist because they run small. So if you're like normally like a 34 like me, you gotta buy a 36. So 34 is gonna be way too small.
That's a fact.
Brady's Run. Brady's Run opened when I was 17, and I've been there like every day since. It's been 12 years at this point, believe it or not. Favorite local spot is the DIY count.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm too old. I don't skate street anymore.
You don't have one growing up though. What was your favorite?
Yeah, for sure. Growing up, the bottom of the parking garage.
Oh yeah.
Because you could bomb that thing, and that was super fun. And you could skate all the curves inside, and you could just turn the trash cans over, and you could do tricks all over them. The bottom of the parking garage. Okay.
All right.
So the first time I did a kickflip, I skated for like 2 years. I suck at skateboarding. Everything I know how to do is because I've done it over and over and over and over. That's how I learned how to skateboard. It's still how I learned. So it took me 2 years to do my first kickflip. I started skating when I was like 12, and I did my first one when I was like 14. And I was in my driveway skating by myself, but I learned them rolling. I don't think I learned any flip trick stationary.
Yeah.
So I learned them rolling, and I did a kickflip. And I was so excited. My brother was upstairs playing Super Smash Brothers Melee for GameCube. And I ran upstairs. This is in my parents' house. So I'm downstairs in the driveway. And I got to run through the backyard for a little bit. And then there's 3 set of steps to go up the deck on the back of the house. But my dog would always try and get into the yard. So we would put a table on its side up in front of the steps. You're gonna like this. Sorry, it's a ridiculous story now that I'm thinking about it. We had a table turned sideways up and then like 3 stairs coming down like this. So I'm so excited to tell my brother that I did a kickflip for the first time. And I run around, and I'm going to go up a 3-stair. And every single time I would do it, I would just put my hand on the railing and swing my legs over the table and then run into the house. But I was so excited I wasn't thinking right. And I like put my hand on, and I missed. So I'm like midair, and I like go to plant myself, and I just whoop out like that. And I just fucking in half scissored myself on this table. Like... My feet are on the top step and my head is like touching the deck floor. And I got up, stoked, like, and kept running with the wind knocked out of me. Tell my brother I did a kickflip for the first time.
That's great.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Yeah, I had a skate crew growing up, but like, unlike most people, where you have a crew that you skate with and then half the people quit, and then some of them came back to it later in life, I'll give them that, but like from my original skate crew that I was hanging out with, none of them skate anymore. And then I had like there was a bunch of people skating at the time. Skating was pretty popular, so there was like a fringe, like a group that I like was like Jason Dick, Rob Jackson, and like Skylar Johannemeyer and Dan McBride. Like Dan was my friend, so I just skated with him a lot. But like all of them were like a crew that I was kind of on the fringe with. I didn't really skate with them all the time, but it was always fun when I did. And some of them still skate now, which is awesome. But growing up, my crew that I originally skated with none of them kept skating. So I spent a lot of time skating by myself, also because I was in Brighton Township. They were all in Beaver. Before you can drive, you can't get down to Beaver. So I spent a lot of time skating by myself, and then as I got this is after high school time now, because I never really quit skating. After high school, nobody skated anymore, so I spent a lot of time being the weird dude showing up to Brady's Run by myself, and that's where I met people like Skylar and Fletch, and then I would run into this two people over here, and that's why I've known Firm since he was like fucking 12, because I was always there by myself, so whoever was there was who I was gonna skate with. So
that's fucking sweet.
And I think because you were never at the park is why I didn't ever meet you.
Yeah, never catch me.
I've always been a park skater.
I was always skating Imperial.
Oh, okay.
Because I live closer.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Imperial was like my park.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I skated parks.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks I have this thing.
I thought Jordan was just street dude
No,
forever.
and I like New Brighton Skate Park more.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. We filmed never made videos like watching Chandler's old videos or your guys' old videos or Dan's old videos. We never filmed anything like that official. We would just film tricks every once in a while, and then we never even edited it. We would go to my buddy Trey Conklin. We would go to his house. We were always filming on his parents' camera, and we would it was like a DV tape that you had to put in the VHS player and then put it in the VHS tape and put that in the VHS player, and we would just watch that unedited, and we would be hyped that we could see ourselves skate, but we never did anything with it. That was as much as we filmed.
This generation can't relate.
Yeah. Oh, dude, this is gonna be a weird one. Okay,
yeah.
So this is kind of like a two-part one. The first video I was talking about my older cousin that showed up with the Dragon Ball Z board. They were in high school. I was in maybe 5th grade. I'm at the end of elementary school. So they were in high school. So after the Dragon Ball Z board, they knew what was up. And like I said, they were already doing pop shove-its and front 180s. They already had tricks. So they knew what was up with videos. So I was over their house and I saw Medic Monty was my first skate video I ever saw.
Wow.
But it didn't get any of it. It was just lights and tricks and sound, and if you watch that video now, it's still really trippy. It's crazy the way that video is edited. So that was the first video I actually ever saw. But the first video I ever saw that had an impact on me was Yeah Right, which is still one of my favorite videos to this day. I still watch it all the time because it's very heartwarming, and Brian Anderson's part was the first time I ever watched a skateboard part and felt more than just I'm watching somebody do cool tricks on a screen. I felt a connection with something. I was like, wow, this is something changes your emotions or something. Watching a really good part.
His part, that chocolate montage.
Yeah.
And fucking Rick McCrank's part.
Yeah. The chocolate montage with Kenny and that one, dude, that was so good. And in that one too, with Mark Johnson's part.
Yeah, that's right.
There's one line where
he's
Mark
flashing
Johnson,
people with the chocolate.
Yeah, in the beginning, the sand gaps.
Yeah, but his skating was everything you wish you could do.
Yeah, and it looked so cool. There's one line that I still try and dress like this sometimes because it's hard to find shoes that look like this. Yeah. But he's got white Lakai's on with green flare symbols on the side. Okay. And he's got brown cords on, and he's got a black winter jacket on, and he does a 360 flip and then a front nose blunt. I think he comes on a bank and he comes out the fakie, and then he does a fakie 360 flip. And the fakie 360 flip is the most beautiful thing you ever see. But I always thought I definitely started wearing corduroys after that, and definitely started trying to find white Lakai's with green logos. That became I was trying to be like that,
Yeah, that was the cord generation.
Yeah,
that's a classic Mark Johnson line.
Yeah. Okay, my favorite. I'm gonna have a weird selection. I'm purposely gonna do this weird.
Keep it as growing up.
Okay, I'm gonna purposely do this weird so that you guys will have to go watch videos that I watched growing up that I know you've never even heard of. I know, I loved 1031 when it came out. I thought Christian Svitek was, or Svitek, however you pronounce his name. I loved it.
Svitek.
Christian Svitek, yeah. I know he's Polish. I don't know
I
the
didn't
correct.
expect that. He's Ohio, dude.
Yeah, he's from Cleveland,
Yeah.
man. I don't know the correct pronunciation, but I loved 1031 growing up. So they had a video called "Turn Up the Hell," and it was awesome. I love that video. I think that's the first Ben Rayborn part ever too.
Yeah.
And
States Imperial.
yeah. So I really liked that, and I really liked Svitek again. I really liked Black Label Blackout. I watched the Black Label videos a lot growing up. My first video I ever bought, because I saw it and thought it was so good that I was like talking my parents into ordering me something out of CCS, was Dying to Live, the Zero video. That's the one where Chris Cole skates to Renegade by Styx. But specifically, I'm trying to think. So that's like me real young. And then like teenage years, I liked... See, I'm gonna do weird ones, man. Teenage years, you won't know this video, but you'll know Foundation. That's Life. Yes. That's like one of my favorite videos ever. But also, there was another one that came out around the same time that has a lot of the same people, but it was 88 Footwear, Destroy Everything Now.
Wow.
That video was so good.
Wow.
And I loved it. And I think Justin Strubing has a part in both. I know Corey Duffel has a part in both. And
he's like the normal guy.
Yeah, I can't think if there's anybody else that has a part in both, but JT Alts has the best song in that video. It's awesome. Okay, so the first time, this is back when LimeWire was a thing, and we used to download videos. The first time I ever saw Baker 3, I was on vacation with Dan McBride's dad, and we were at a lake somewhere. I don't know where we were. Somewhere in Ohio. Like, we were at Lake Erie. But we were riding jet skis, and his dad took us out there, and we were like so obsessed with Baker 3 that we didn't even want to go on the jet skis. We just wanted to watch that video and then go skate the little tiny concrete patch at the house that they were staying at. And I remember watching Baker 3, and then me and Dan both learned like fakie big spins, and like I think I learned backside half cab flip because I was like so juiced on watching that video. And plus Reynolds has like 10 good ones in that part. So, dude, but Baker 3 was high school years for sure. Now, currently, I really like. I go back and watch this one all the time. These are all going to be like web clip things because skateboarding has changed. You don't put DVDs in anymore. I watched Sir Palmer, the Weekend video, all the time. And I also watched, the first couple are going to be Weekend because they're just my favorite thing right now. Sir Palmer from Weekend, and then Christian Malouf's Going Pro part with that, the I Can't Love You song. The song was that was the first time in a while I saw a video where I was like, a part where I was like, wow, I don't even care about the skating. I just want to hear this song a bunch of times, and it makes it even better if you can watch it to a skate part. Yeah. But also, I like Polar, We Blew It at some point. I watch that one all the time because Nick Basario is awesome. And the first clip that I remember, I don't know if this was a thing that you were into, but do you remember the Alien Workshop life splicing, like towards the end of Alien Workshop? They were doing like web edits called life splicing.
Like around like Minefield era?
Like right after Minefield, like they started.
I don't think I've seen them really.
They didn't release any they didn't do any more full length stuff, but
I wasn't into them at least.
Yeah,
I wasn't like paying attention like that.
So, and I was paying attention, and
they still had Omar up in there.
They still had Omar up in there. Well, Gilbert Crockett has one, which is good. But the first one that I saw, I think it's number 3, was the Nick Basario one. And these are like my first memories of watching.
I didn't even know he skated.
He was like on Flow for Alien.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he was on.
Wow.
I think he was on Flow for Alien, and then like Zero scooped him up, man, because he was pro for Zero before he went to Polar.
Flow to pro.
Yeah. But that's like my earliest memory of having something that was a web clip that I kept going back to over and over again was the Alien Workshop life splicings. But now everything that I watch gets me juiced is just stuff that has pretty much only come out on the internet. Yeah. But Weekend videos and Polar videos pretty much is what gets me hyped. Yeah, Park. I'm 29 years old. I'm too old to be running from anybody at street spots. Okay. Parking lots because of asphalt ground. Car garages don't usually have asphalt ground, and I like being able to power slide. And I like after you're done skating and you're that smell whenever asphalt gets hot is nice, like blacktop. Yeah. And whenever you're done skating, your board has that. Your wheels look like they look more like tires because they have the black around them, and I like that. And car garages don't usually have parking block curbs, but it's
true.
Parking lots always have parking block curbs. Yeah. I prefer nose manuals, but I'm better at manuals. But if I'm gonna, okay, if I do a manual, then it's just like, oh, cool, I made it. But if you do a nose manual, like just a straight nose manual, you feel like you did a trick. Like you're like, yeah, like I'm on it today.
Coming off the curb is great.
Yeah. That's a tough one. It's a really tough one.
You gotta pick one.
Because, yeah, I know. That's like a really, like a wally off something feels really good. And I feel like I'm really consistent with wallies. So, like, I'm never afraid I'm not going to make one. And ollies, it's a 50-50 shot at this point after knee surgery, whether I'm going to be able to clear the thing or not. But, like, a really good ollie, like, popped over something. I think it was, I'm going to go with ollie, and this is an Ethan Fowler quote, I think.
Okay.
But Ethan Fowler was like, everybody's out there flipping their boards. I just want to fucking ollie over everything. I think that it really does feel the best. Nollie, for sure. I like nollie tricks. Kickflip is the best feeling trick that you can do on a skateboard. Still, I don't think, I don't know, I can't do all the tricks, but I still think kickflip is the best trick you could ever do. Board side for sure. I hate 50-50s. I like them backside on transition, but I hate doing them on a rail or a ledge. That's such a, like, I don't know, okay, that's not necessarily a hard one. I respect both of them, but, like,
Just pick one.
I'd rather watch Tony Hawk skate than Riley Hawk skate, honestly. And it's not talking trash, it's just I like watching bird skating, it's cool.
Sure.
Dogs, for sure. I like both, but I prefer dogs. I'd rather have a pet dog than a pet cat. I'm gonna pick poultry is my answer, so it's technically me, but... Best part about growing up in Beaver is you can kind of get, I don't know, you're not going to get like that much culture growing up here because it's kind of in the bubble, but also whatever you're into, you can get really into because no one's going to really tell you not to be into it. You're whatever you discover on your own, you can get really into that. And you can be the that of Beaver. Like you get into, I got into punk rock, and then you could find punk rock. I got into skateboarding, you can find other skateboarders. You know, it wasn't like the environment doesn't like breed you so much as you can create whatever you want within this environment. I haven't really been on any exclusive skating trips, but the best trip
It doesn't have to be skating.
Best trip I've ever been on is to California. My brother lives in Oakland, and I skated the Berkeley Park out there. The first time I went out there, the second time I went out was pre-knee surgery, so I wasn't skating at all, but Oakland, California, Bay Area, California, because I went to San Francisco and I went to a bunch of different places. But yeah, California is definitely the best place I've ever been to. This one's going to be dumb, but the best show I ever went to, just because I'll never get to see them when they're alive, I was at a show at Thursdays down in Bridgewater that my cousin Ray's band Ill Willis at the time was playing, and there was a Ramones cover band there called Gabba Gabba Hey, and I was like in the front row singing all the words and stuff, even though these are just random 40-year-old dudes who just like the Ramones. They're just playing Ramones songs, but it was the best show I've ever been to because it was like the only time I got to live it.
That's so sick.
In that same vein, so that's number one. And then number two, I've seen Jerry Only's Misfits. They're not the Misfits, but I've seen Jerry Only's Misfits 3 times. And those are always really fun because even though you're not seeing the original people do it, you're in there with the crowd, and he doesn't even sing half the time. It's just the crowd doing vocals because everyone is in the same vibe. It's so fun. That's number 2, the Misfits. The third best show I ever went to, my cousin and I drove all the way out to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, because we missed when they played at Mr. Small's, because it's a long story, but you probably heard it if you know me. But we drove all the way out to Lancaster, Pennsylvania to see Circus Survive right after Blue Sky Noise came out, and that was probably one of the greatest shows I've ever seen, just because the atmosphere and their music's just so trippy that it put you in a total headspace. So seeing it live was like really crazy because it's so loud and there's confetti going around and everyone's in the same vibe. That was 3. Fourth best show I've ever been to. I went and saw at the Altar Bar when it was still open. I went with my brother. I went to a bunch of metal shows growing up, but I don't really listen to metal. But my brother and all my friends were into it, so I went to see 3 Inches of Blood at the Altar Bar, and that was awesome. They're like a parody band, so they're not necessarily like they're great musicians, but the music isn't serious. But while we were at that show, I was standing at the bottom because we were like under 21 at the time, and you have to be 21 to get on the top deck. And I looked up, and we saw our Spanish teacher on the top balcony from Beaver High School randomly at the 3 Inches of Blood show. And he was a little Mr. Hernandez. It was pretty funny.
That's sick.
That's 4. And then my 5th best show I've ever seen. I'm trying to. Okay, so this one, I should have thought of this first, actually. This is going to be number 5, but it can actually go before all of them.
It's so hard.
Yeah. This is actually, okay, so this is I'm putting it as number 5. This is actually should have been number 1. I saw Shannon and the Clams whenever they came to Pittsburgh. They've only been here once, but I went and saw them at the upstairs at Spirit, and it was awesome. It was right after Onion came out. And I always dreamed I've been listening to them since like 2008ish, like when Hunk Hunt came out. I was listening to them, and I never thought they would come to Pittsburgh because they're just a small band from Oakland, California. But they made it all the way out here, and me and my girlfriend Rachel went and saw them, and it was a great night, super fun.
It's tough.
It is tough.
They're all tough.
I don't think it's tough. I'm just gonna give like my favorites, but I feel like I should have like cooler answers. But these are my favorites. So the Ramones are number 1. They're the greatest band that there ever was. That's my favorite band. That was my introduction to punk rock, and I just think they figured it out. It's not punk rock. It's rock and roll. They thought it was. They were just trying to get on the radio, and they inspired everybody. Number 2 is Bad Brains for sure. Number 3 is the Misfits. I already said them at the show. But number 4 is going to be... this is specifically punk bands, so I'm okay. So number 4 is Minor Threat. And number 5 is going to be... this is actually... I discovered a lot of my music growing up through skate videos. But I listened to this band a lot called Grey Matter. I really like them a lot. And they were in Flip Sorry... Jeff Raleigh skated to him, and Ali Bilala also skated to him. And in that Take It Back video that just came out, Jeff Raleigh skated to him again like 20 years later. Yep. Wow. It's a different song, but he skated to him again.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, they were on Discord. They were on like the Minor Threat label.
I'm disappointed in myself for not catching that.
My first favorite skater ever, I think, was Mike Vallely.
Oh, yeah.
I still really like these. I still respect these people. They're just not in my current top 5 now. But Mike Vallely was my first favorite pro skater. I really liked Rick McCrank growing up. I really liked skaters that could do everything, like well-rounded. Like you'd see him skate street, but then you'd see Rick McCrank also like throw a big stale fish in a bowl, and I thought that was cool that he could do both. Christian Svitek because he is from Ohio, and also he really looked like he was if you watch any of his parts, he looks like he's trying really hard, like he's not good at riding a skateboard, and that's what I liked about it. It got me really inspired.
He's probably got tight trucks.
Yeah, he's probably got tight trucks, and he's doing those front threes where you get 270 around and then you pivot the last quarter. That was one of his tricks.
Tight trucks.
Yeah. Who else growing up? I'm gonna say Jeff Raleigh because I only wore Vans growing up for like until I was in high school. I finally started skating in their shoes. But when I started skating till like late into high school, I only wore Vans, and it was because I just consistently every year Jeff Raleigh would come out with a new shoe, and I would just get his shoe for my skate shoe for the year. And Jeff Raleigh in Sorry was like the coolest thing that I had ever seen. He was so tough and like taking gnarly slams, and also it's like mysterious because you don't know anything about like the world back then. So to hear him speak with a British accent, he's like
way before Visco Girls.
Yeah. And then
Vans.
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is, dude.
They wear Vans checkered slip-ons.
Okay.
Like scrunchies or something.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. A fifth favorite skater. Growing up, and like I said, these aren't necessarily people. It's not like I don't like these guys now, but growing up, the person who got me into skating, his favorite skater was Mark Appleyard. So I watched a lot of Mark Appleyard stuff growing up, and I think that was just by default one of my favorites, just because I had no. Also, this is like a little bit before me, but I'm so obsessed with this time period in skateboarding where Chad Muska was the Muska.
Oh yeah.
I was never that into Chad Muska growing up, but the people that showed me skateboarding, he was God to them. They idolized him. So like Chad Muska's kind of on there by default, just because he was always on the TV. We were always watching like Shorty's Guilty or like Fulfill the Dream, that kind of stuff, because everyone loved Chad Muska that I skated with. So yeah. Moving over left slightly because whenever I catch, yeah, yeah, I want to make them count though.
So hard.
Yeah,
dude.
I don't think. Okay, so I'll do mine. Yeah, okay, I got it already, pretty much. So Brian Anderson's my favorite skater since I saw Yeah Right, which is the first video that I actually stuck with me. His part in that pretty much made him my favorite skater. And then since then, he's still my favorite skateboarder, even though he's like in his 40s now. I still just go back and watch his old stuff. I really like Gilbert Crockett. I've been following his, like, when that mystery video came out that he was in. Ever since then, he skated with the zombies. It was awesome.
I feel like so many people don't recognize
Ever since then, I've been like a fan of Gilbert Crockett, and it's cool to see, like, which is weird because I'm gonna name a lot of people that have like, this is gonna sound stupid, but I'm like self-conscious about this because I'm gonna name a lot of people that have a lot of tattoos, and I'm like, it's not why. Like that's why I was like Fallen or mystery video. Like I've been watching him since then. Before he had any tattoos, you know what I mean? Yeah. But my other favorite skater, these are the people that I watch. Like if you go on my YouTube search, this is what I search the most often. And it's like Brian Anderson parts, Gilbert Crockett. The other one is Bobby Worrest. I've been watching Bobby Worrest skate for so long. Like the first time I ever saw him was in Crooked Chronicles, and then after that I was like, I love everything this dude puts out. But he's also super heavy tattooed now too. But he didn't have anything back then. Yeah. But I watched. This is like a weird one because I don't think people that like skate street really watch this, but I love watching Peter Hewitt skate. He is like my favorite guy to watch skate transition, but also like I think if he skated street he would have the same style, but the fact that he's like up there and he's real square on his board and his arms are always like this, like he's never using his arms to balance, he's always just like ready to ride it, you know? He's just like, however these trucks lock into the coping, that's how I'm going, you know? And it's really cool. It's an awesome style. It's like balls to the wall, basically. And then, this is a weird one, but I go back and watch old Dandre Hobel parts so much. He is like, I think he's one of the best skateboarders ever. I don't think he gets recognized enough, because he was crazy. The amount of unorthodox tricks that he did, you know? That's the list.
He's like the best country boy.
Yeah. I don't want to pick favorites here, but like I get the most excited whenever I get to skate with Firm.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. A sip of drink. I'm like spitting all over the place. My mouth is dry. I'm not used to talking this much.
I have someone I'm hoping you say.
Someone you're hoping I say?
Yeah. So I feel like I just hope you say it. I don't want to say it.
I don't know. Now I'm like, I better think of the right person.
It's your top 5. But it's hard. Like, you could change it tomorrow.
Yeah, true. Top 5 locals. So, I always get excited when I can skate with Firm. Gonna say Coit, because I skate with him more than anyone else. Like, he's like, I'm either skating by myself or I'm skating with him pretty much at this point. So, I have a lot of fun skating with him. Those are 2 people that I skate with. I don't really know him, but I love anytime I get to see a clip of Dion Bricker. That's pretty awesome. I like watching. He pops real high over everything. It's awesome. I don't know his real name though.
Oh no, you know this person. He's from here.
He's from here? Oh, okay. Well, the person I was gonna say is Leftover Skate Hermit.
Fuck yeah, he's sick.
He's Hermitage though.
Yeah.
That's not like here though.
That's local still.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I skated with him one time and he was really awesome. He was telling me about how he likes skating the Vans he was wearing, and I was telling him about how I like skating the Converse I was wearing, and then we both talked about getting the opposite person's pair of shoes. But it was fun to nerd out about stuff like that.
His name's Mike.
Mike, okay.
He's always wearing the GG Allen shirt.
Yeah.
saying Darb, dude.
Oh, yeah, dude. Okay, yeah, definitely. I just haven't skated with him in so long.
Yeah.
He's never out anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so Durbin, I want to see you at Brady's Run soon.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen you in so long,
Yeah.
bud. But
Durb's a legend, low key.
yeah, I was trying the fakey tail stall to like river dance shuffle thing that you do the other day. I don't know how the hell you jumped back in on that because it scared the I tried it like twice and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Derb gets me so hyped whenever I see him skate, man.
Hell yeah.
I said Firm, Coit, and then I think I just went
You
to
said Dion?
Dion, Leftover Skate Hermit, Darb. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Top 5 skate brands. Quasi, the best. Number 1. Number 2 is, well, okay, so these are kind of interchangeable, but Quasi, Weekend. Still really hyped on what Crail Tap is doing.
Hell
I
yeah.
still like all their stuff, even though they're not quite what they used to be.
Yeah.
I really like Proper Shoes. I'm gonna throw them in there because I really like the Conquistas. They just need to make the soles not wear so quick.
Hell yeah.
And then I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna put Eastern Logic in there.
Fuck yeah. That's an honor. Blocking the sun
Yeah.
with my head.
My favorite shoe, they just re-released it too, and I want to get a pair of them. They did like 2 versions of it. But the original Raleigh shoe, I think they called it the Raleigh Classic. I'm not positive on that. But the shoe from '99, whenever he got on Vans, I skated so many pairs of those. And I'm hoping they re-release it, but I had an all-black one with the white side stripe, but all the stitching was white. So it was all black, but all the stitching was white. It looked crazy, but I had a bunch of those when I was a kid. I loved that. So Raleigh Classic, number 1. Number 2 is going to be, well, that was Vans. This is probably going to be a lot of Vans. Number 2 is going to be the Vans Era, because I wore that a lot growing up, and there was like a time whenever Chima Ferguson was only skating Eras, and that was the dream when I was a kid, was to be like, dude, if you could be on Vans and you could just only skate Eras because you wear through them in 2 days, you know, like it's not worth it to keep buying them, but that was like a dream. So Vans Eras for sure. I'm gonna do a controversial one here. This is a shoe that I never had, but going back and looking at old shoes, I'm like super jealous of it. And I know a lot of people don't like this one. People always either say Costin 1 or the Costin 3. I think the Costin 2 was like the coolest looking shoe. Like, I remember seeing it in CCS, but it was like $100. That shoes were expensive. That was like way out of our price range. So I was just like, Vans from fucking Walmart again, you know? But yeah, the Costin 2 was an awesome shoe. That's 3. Of things that I've had, because that's not an all-time one, because I was going to say Proper Conquista, but that's not an all-time one. That's like of all time, whether I've had them or not. It's going to be Vans again. The Vans,
I love that.
yeah, I had these ones a lot growing up too. The Vans, this is going to be a slash one. So the Vans TNT I had a lot. Tony Trujillo's first shoe. But they came out with, like, it was like a bulky shoe, but I had like the black and gray leather ones, and then I also had the navy blue and red leather ones with the white bottoms. Those were both awesome. But I skated a bunch also the TNT 2 when it came out. And the TNT 2 was like a slimmed down version of it, and that was like when skate shoes started to go from like real big and puffy. They were starting to slim down, but they were still like, if we skated them now, we'd still think they were puffy. But the TNT and the TNT 2 were like awesome.
Yeah.
I really liked both of those shoes. That's 4 Vans models I've said now.
That's awesome.
So we're gonna do a different company for the last one. A shoe I always. Oh, this is gonna be, dude. You're gonna love this one. I had this shoe growing up, and I fucking loved it.
What's it?
It was from iPath. It was called the Cricket.
Which one?
It was called the Cricket. They had a high top one with a Velcro strap. That was the Grasshopper. It was the low top one. It was the Cricket. But I had this shoe. It was the coolest colorway you ever see. It was a black sole, and then it had a toe cap on it, and the toe cap and the front lace protectors were black also, and the back was tan because it was made out of hemp because they were like hippie company.
Yeah.
It was so cool looking.
Dude, iPath had the team.
Yeah.
They really did though.
Yeah, iPath had
They had the team.
Nate Jones on there. But
Dude, like everyone. Bobby Pulio.
Bobby Pulio was
accepted
on
their
there.
sponsorship.
Tim O'Connor was on there. Yeah, Bobby Folio wasn't he
He
accepted
was on
it. He
there.
wasn't honored to be on the team. He accepted it.
He dealt with
See a similar theme. Brian Anderson, yeah, right. Daniel Shimizu, and That's Life. One of the best parts ever in my mind. Peter Hewitt and Cash Money Vagrant. He skates to Dystopia. It's awesome. Bobby Warist in Get Familiar when he skates to Waiting Room by Fugazi. He does really big nollie flip in the beginning of it. It's awesome. And ooh, I'm gonna go with this is a good one. Chris Sen's part in Jump Off a Building. If you've ever seen that one, it's the part's awesome and his style's awesome.
Yeah.
It's once again like that Christian Spitek thing I was talking about, where you can tell he's trying really hard to land the tricks he's doing, and also it ends with like him doing a backside 180 over a big ass bush, and then he just starts hauling ass switch down the street, and the filmer just decides to keep filming, and he just like, this is before GX and all those dudes. This is just like he did the trick, and then he was just like, fuck it, we're skating, let's keep going, you know. Foundation, That's Life. Girl, yeah, right. I like, this is a weird one, but I like Zero New Blood a lot. I really like that video. Slave Radio Television, that's still like, watch it now and you're still like, wow, this video is so good. And they're supposed to be coming out with it. It's called Radio Silence. They're supposed to be coming out with a new video. I'm pumped on. And I'm trying to think of another one that's like a good one that I watch all the time. Do web edits count?
Who? Yeah.
Do web edits count?
Top 5 videos.
Does this count? Because I don't know what constitutes a video these days. It's only like 11 minutes long, but Sir Palmer from Weekend, I watch it, like, I literally watch it like once a week. Like, I love that video.
It's very good.
Yeah. When I first started skating, there was a graphic series that Flip did that was like all their riders at the time were from different countries, and it was like the background of the board was all one color, and it had like an icon-looking peace sign, and the hand was done in the graphic of what, or like the flag of whatever country the pro was from. I really like that series. I think it was called the Victory series. Al Davis's second board on Quasi, I think it was called Bars, but it was the couple kissing through the jail cell. I think that was like, I still wish I would have kept that one, but I skated it. This one's legendary. They've done many like stories about it and stuff, but the Jim Thiebaud to come out with the Hanging Klansman graphic whenever he did is legendary. For them to be that ahead of the time and not being afraid to cause waves for something that they felt was right was really cool. So that graphic's awesome. I really like, this is one that like when I was younger I was like, I'm gonna get that tattooed someday. I thought it was so cool. Actually, no, wait, can I change some of these?
Yeah.
Okay. The Flip Victory series. Well, you can use my description of them earlier.
Yeah.
The Flip Victory series. I forgot. I said the word tattoo, and I was like, I have skateboard graphics tattooed on me that I didn't even mention.
Oh wow.
Anything Don Pendleton did for Alien Workshop. Specifically, there is the series where it had the Olympic symbol at the top of the boards. I have the Jason Dill graphic from that series tattooed on me. That I don't remember the name of that series, but it's a robot fixing itself. That's a fantastic graphic. But pretty much anything Don Pendleton did for Alien Workshop was great, or most of his career. Or no, I will say the Jim Thiebaud Hanging Klansman board. That's number 3. Number 4. This is way before my time, but I'd like to go back and look at the old PAL graphics that VCJ did, and I really like that back then everybody's graphic was like something specific to them, and it wasn't like they didn't get a board, like here's 2 boards because you turned pro, and the next month 2 more boards came out. It was like, this is your model, you get this for the next year. Signatures. Maybe next year we'll get you a new one. Yeah. But it was like your shape that you rode and a graphic that was drawn specifically for you. So that old PAL stuff is really cool. Yeah. But specifically, I really like I really like Steve Cavallero's first board. It's really cool. Yeah. Oh, the Quasi one I said. That one still counts for sure. Yeah. I'm giving way more than 5, dude. This is too hard.
You're passionate about it. That's why I got that one for you.
Yeah. Oh, one more.
Good.
I just found out what this was recently because I saw the graphic a bunch of times. The board from New Deal, it was Ed Templeton's pro model. It was called Insecurity. And it's the girl standing there. She has a red dress on, and her arm, her leg basically turns into her arm. It's weird. She has like one arm on this side and a leg on this side, and then she has an arm and a leg that are like connected. I never knew what that image was. I just always saw it associated with Ed Templeton, but that was his apparently like a pro model that he drew for himself on New Deal, and that graphic is really cool. The old Shorty's Rosa ads. There was one, S did a series, I forget what the series was called, but it was whenever the Costin 5 came out, and it's Costin, and he has like the long hair and a backwards hat, so it's during that era, and he's doing like a frontside pivot on a parking block, and then it says like my first spot or something. I forget what the ad series was called, but it's just like a red and black photo, like the photo's all it's like a black and white photo, but it's red and black. Yeah. And it's Costin. He's like making a goofy face, and he's like pivoting on a curb, and I thought that was really cool at the time whenever I was a kid, because I was like, Costin was like the best dude, and for him to just be doing a pivot on a curb was really cool. Yeah. Just having fun basically. The old America ads were always the best. There was one, I might be getting this confused.
Which time period? There's like 2 old America time periods.
This is skateboarding time period.
Okay.
Yeah. I might be getting this confused with an article, but I think it was an ad, but it was whenever they had the America Mansion, when they were filming this as skateboarding, so they all lived in the same house, and it's like the whole team lined up, it's like 2-page spread, the whole team lined up in a black and white photo on the balcony of this house, and it says, young Americans, they act like Romans, they live like Romans, but they dress like Turks. Like on the ad, it was super cool, dude. This was just mind-blowing to me as a kid. The one with Dustin Dollin passed out like in the gutter, and there's like a beer, and it says like Dustin Dollin 7-day weekend. It's a Baker ad. Go with like pretty much any toy machine ad because they all look pretty similar. But the writing that Ed Templeton does around like the speech bubbles that go around the whole picture. But there was one specifically, just because the photo's so rad, of Johnny Layton ollieing. It's like a bank like this, and there's set steps in the middle, and there's like a handrail going down this side and a handrail going down this side. He's ollieing from this bank over both rails into the other bank. It was a really awesome photo, but I'd just go with like all toy machine ads. But I really like that photo specifically. In this day and age, it's weird, just because of the kind of questions he asks, but I really like Chris Naratko's interviews. Anything where he's like the interviewer. Yeah. So when he does interviews, I really like him most of the time. But the ones that the one that really stuck with me when I was a kid, I really liked. Caswell Berry got interviewed by the Skateboard Mag by Rob Brink. Dude, I'm nerding out too much, but by Rob Brink, and he talks about how he feels like he's misunderstood because he's not trying to be a dick. He's just too nervous to say hi to people, so he seems standoffish. And I was like, I feel that too. Yeah. You know, like I related to that, you know. Yeah. So I really liked that one as a kid. Interview with. This is just because it's skateboard gossip, but I really like the interview with Mike Carroll after it's the Jenkum interview after Mark Johnson quit for Adidas. That I still read that and I'm like, wow. Yeah. And once again, I really like Gilbert Crockett, so I really like anytime he gets interviewed. He had that one for Monster Children recently. That's not necessarily my favorite, but I really enjoyed that interview. Anytime I get to read an Andrew Reynolds interview, because the one whenever it's for Jenkum, whenever he's talking about how it's like, this isn't necessarily what the interview is about, but he touches on how he, being a sober like dad now, how he thinks the way he acted with Baker early on, like how he thinks that was being a role model, and like how he's kind of like doesn't regret it, but he's grown since then. He's learned from it, and I really liked that interview reading that because I was like, oh, sometimes do you think pro skateboarders don't grow up because they get to ride skateboard for a living? But they do grow up, you know? Yeah. There's so many of them, man, because I feel bad because there's like people want to show me at work, especially because they know I skateboard. People want to show me Instagram clips of people, and like it's always Nigel Houston or Shane O'Neill, always like they're really good, but I saw a clip of Shane O'Neill do, I think he did a kickflip back tail, backside 360 heel out, and it was mind-blowing, but it was also like, oh, of course he can do that. Like, I don't really care to watch it, you know? Dude, I have the best answer for this one, because I really like watching his stuff, but I don't know his name, how to pronounce it. I think it's Emile Laurent. The little tiny...
Emile,
yeah.
Emile, he's on Polar.
Yeah, the little guy that skates for Polar with the red hair. He's not very good, but he's really, really fun to watch. He's awesome, though. I love watching his footage.
I like that.
I love any line where somebody's pushing downhill and then does a front 180 and then does a frontside half cab. Skylar just left and he said, I'm definitely nicer than him. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think we're both well-behaved gentlemen, maybe. Well, if it's like actual filming, like VX, then it was the manual at the whoops that we've used like 10 times.
Yeah.
That was probably the best thing I've ever filmed with a legit filmer. But my favorite thing I've ever filmed on like my phone, I film myself all the time. I'm trying to think what my favorite one is, but I think it is probably the. I want to say the kickflip manual that I did, because it's the first time I had done anything like kind of tech since surgery. So I was like really excited to be able to get a kickflip up that high and be able to like manual it out. And it was like there was still snow on the ground. It was like right after winter too, so that was pretty cool. You know those? I forget what it's called from IKEA, but those things that have the squares that everybody keeps their records in. I have 4 of those slots filled with records. I don't know how many I have. I don't collect that much anymore. I just I try and enjoy the ones that I have, but I own a lot of vinyl. Yeah. Post knee surgery, I'm still skating, so yeah. I think I realized that I had fallen in love with skating after my brother had quit and after all my friends had quit, and I still couldn't stop doing it. Like, I still continued to keep doing it even by myself. And I was like, oh, I don't think this is something I'm gonna shake. This is me, you know.